Located on Massachusetts Avenue in Cambridge, Modern Homebrew Emporium is a worthwhile and exciting destination for homebrewers at every level of experience. Filled from floor to ceiling with everything from starter kits and how-to books to dozens of varieties of bulk grain and hops, you're almost guaranteed to find anything you're looking for. In this segment, Randy Baril of Modern Homebrew takes our friend JC Tetreault around the store for some excellent direction and advice for a new homebrewer, and of course the tools and ingredients to get started.
So Randy, thanks so much for having us today. Could you tell us a little bit about how Modern came to be and how long it's been in business?
Oh, no problem. The store itself was founded, I think, at the end of the 80s, during the first real wave of home brewing when the interest started to surge up. And the original owner started the store, I think, in this very location, and he moved over to Davis Square and tried to expand into a homebrew retail store and also a brew on premise and also a brew pub. And there was a lot to go into at a market that wasn't really established. You know, you didn't have the whole background in craft brewing that we have now. And he gave that up, came back to this space, and had it as a retail store for many years. I think homebrewing is definitely getting more popular, and it's due in big part to the whole craft brewing scene, which itself was based on homebrewers back in the 80s.
What would you say to somebody that comes into the shop and wants to try homebrewing for the first time?
Well, I'd lead them over here to this basic equipment kit. This guy right here sets you up for everything you need to manage and maintain 5 gallons of fermenting beer. But this is setting you up for, as I said, a 5-gallon fermentation. It has the primary fermenting bucket in it. That's where all the action's going to happen. Pretty much you make up the beer, and then you're going to add the yeast to it. The yeast are going to take about 2 weeks to do their magic. At the end of that 2 weeks, you're going to move it into a bottling bucket, which isn't pitchered. And that's in conjunction with the bottle filling wand, and the capper is going to help you get the beer into the bottles, where it's going to age for another 2 weeks, digesting some sugar that you added.
So it's great. All that you need to really start out is in this one kit here. So it's you know, you walk into a store like this, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So to meet somebody like you and to have a, sort of an all-in-one package is great for the starting brewer. And
I think it's really good. I do recommend the basic kit over the deluxe model. The deluxe has what's called a carboy. That's the second vessel here. And I feel that while you can get better beer out of it, you get better looking beer just because more solids can come out of solution and clean it up some. I'm more worried about my first time brewer because of new equipment, new procedures. They just aren't sure what they're doing. I feel there's a much greater chance they're going to contaminate or oxidize a batch. And so it's my opinion, you know, keep it simple your first couple times through. You can always step into that, and the price difference between the two is really the cost of the equipment, so there's no advantage to spending more up front. You know, see what works for you in your situation and go from there.
So we're thinking of brewing a Hefeweitzen to start as our first beer. Would you recommend that?
Sure, Hefeweizens are a great beer to start with. The real reason for that is that they're naturally cloudy. The things that first-time homebrewers run into, their beer's going to be a little cloudier than they're expecting, and there's always the potential for a slight off flavor. Something like a Hefeweizen or an IPA or dark beers like stouts are really good at covering those up, and I think Hefeweizen's a great place to start. Dried malt extract versus liquid malt extract, they're really the same thing. Dry just contains less water. So in general, it's about 20% more sugars pound for pound. So 1 pound of your dry malt extract is roughly 1.2 pounds of liquid. It's a really easy way to customize the amount of alcohol you want to have in your beer, simply because dry malt extract stores very well, and it's very easy to measure partial quantities, whereas when you're using the liquid malt extract, you're kind of using the whole can, and that's kind of your go.
Well, we're also going to need some hops and some yeast, I believe.
Yep. I'm always a big fan of adding some grain to it.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be anything special. It's just called specialty grain. It's really just to freshen up the flavor of the malt extract. Sometimes the concentration process can steal a little bit of those fresh beer flavors, and it's a good way to add that back in.
Okay. What kind of specialty grain would you recommend for Hefeweizen?
A wheat, definitely. Is this going to be an American or a German Hefe?
We'd like to do a German variety.
Sure, I'll just come right this way. Step into my office. 56 different varieties of grain. This is really the heart of the store right here. I think we have the best selection, and one of the nice things, it's all in bulk format. You're welcome to take as much or as little as you would like. For something like your German Hefeweizen, all you really want to do is freshen up that flavor a little bit. Just your standard wheat, the wheat grains here. Not there. So all I'm going to do is weigh out a half pound or a pound.
Okay.
Really a half pound's all you need for this kind of recipe. And away we go.
Okay.
So now it's all crushed up. This is what's called a grist. And all we're looking for is that it's been crushed up. Next thing you're going to want for this are going to be the hops. You can go with either the whole hops or the pelletized hops. I'm going to recommend going with your pelletized hops. They're easier to measure, they're easier to work with, and when you boil them, they fall right to the bottom. Because we have such high turnover in this store, we're blessed to be able to offer our pellets in bulk format. You're welcome to take as much or as little as you would like.
Excellent.
A lot of the times when you're buying online or at some other stores, they have it all prepackaged, and you're in 1 ounce units, which works. You can definitely make your recipes fit, but it's nice to be able to make adjustments if you want to.
Okay.
Alright. So the first one we're going to do is the Hallertau. Now it's 3%. Because of the lower alpha acid, I'm going to recommend using it as your flavoring hop. So I'd say half an ounce or an ounce would be sufficient for this style. I'm going to do an ounce.
Okay.
If you want to use less.
No, that's fine.
I'm going to put the F on it. The F is for flavoring. That means you're going to add it in the last 10 or 15 minutes of the boil.
All right.
But the other place you're going to use the hops is going to be your bittering strike. That kind of counterbalance the sweetness of the malt, especially when working with the wheat malts where you have a lot of the sweetness. Having a little more bitterness is nice. I chose this one, it's 4.7%, so you're going to get a little more bitterness. It's still definitely a noble hop, but I think it'll be really nice for you. There. 4.7% bittering. Now I write a lot of information on here, the alpha acid percentage. If you keep good records, what you can do is adjust it every time you make the beer. Being an agricultural product, there's some variation year to year, and that allows you to make the same beer every time.
So you just adjust the amount based on how much alpha acid is in the demo.
Yep. And there you go. Your bittering and your flavoring strike.
Excellent. Smells great.
The last thing we're going to use in the beer is going to be your yeast. This will give you a American Hefeweizen style, but I get the sense that you want to do more of a German style. And so we just need to look up what number that is. There we go, 3068. If you are familiar with the beers of Germany, a famous one is Weihenstephaner. And we actually have what's reputed to be, in quotation marks, because we can't say it is, but this is their yeast. And
From the actual brewery?
Yes, that's yeast. Reputed to be. I can neither confirm or deny.
I understand.
But this will give you a remarkably similar thing.
I think we'll go with that.
All right.
Yeah.
Now all we need are your extras. Bottle caps for your batch. Standard amount. Gold caps I think are fine for this application. Priming sugar. This is what's going to give you the carbonation in the bottle. You're going to add this right before you bottle. The yeast are going to digest it and give you that carbonation. So the last thing you need to grab is just going to be a muslin bag. Really, it's just a little bag to hold your grains. You're going to steep them like tea before you do the brew, and that's going to give your beer a little more color and flavor.
Okay.
And that's all you need. Nice simple batch. Just want to bring that up here, throw it on the counter. Alright.
thanks for showing us around today and helping us to develop the recipe.
Oh, no problem.
I'm sure we're going to be back at Modern soon. Thank you so much.
Come by anytime, JC. We'll catch you later.
Thank you.